ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
हरि ओम। ओम श्री कृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ नवमोऽध्यायः। राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगः। ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्। अहं क्रतुरहं यज्ञः स्वदाहमहम् औषधम् मन्त्रोऽहमहमेवाजम् अहमग्निरहं हुतं पिताहमस्य जगतः माता धाता पितामहः वेद्यं पवित्रमोङ्कारः ऋक्सामयजुरेव च गतिर्भर्ता प्रभु साक्षी निवासः शरणं सुहृत प्रभवः प्रलयस्थानं निधानं बीजमव्ययम् तपाम्यहमहं वर्षं निगृह्णाम्युत्सृजामि च अमृतं चैव मृत्युश्च सदसच्चाहमर्जुन त्रैविद्या मां सोमपाः पूतपापा यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति दिव्यान् दिवि देव भोगान् ते तं भुक्त्वा स्वर्गलोकं विशालं क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्ना गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जनाः पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्। येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्य विधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेनातश्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄण्यात् यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄण्यान्यन्ति पितृव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेजा यान्ति मध्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवं मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत्सु दुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्रं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा क्षुद्राः तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणा पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना भव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्तैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः ओम तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे राजविद्या राजगुह्ययोगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः। ओम तत्सत्। श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया। Should I repeat the 29th verse or 28th? Kindly let me know. It was, I think, yeah, I think we have repeated 28, 27, 28, 2 days. So I believe I will just read the last paragraph of the verse 28. If my voice is breaking too much, then just let me know because there is a notification. Okay. It is very clear that such a God is insecure. He has his own fans called bhaktas, devotees. So he cares for them. And the others who mind their business and are now grown up, he dislikes. He should be proud of them, but he wants them always to look up to him, which means he does not want them to grow. He is not even like enlightened parents. So he is here, Swamiji sarcastically, just putting his remark. Now we have reduced Ishvara to our level. It is the argument of an opponent. Purva Pakshi, remember, the answer to this is given in the next verse. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्. I hope that we have to repeat this verse. This also we did yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think this will repeat.
Okay. Astu. Sarva bhuteshu, in all beings, aham samaha, I am the same. Name dveshyah asti. There is no one whom I dislike. Name priyah, nor is anyone my favorite. Ye bhajanti tu mam, but those who seek me. Bhaktya, with devotion. Mayi they exist in me. Teshu cha api aham, and I exist in them. Sarva bhuteshu aham samaha, name dveshyah asti, name priyah. Ye bhajanti tu mam, bhaktya mayi teshu cha api aham. I am the same in all beings. There is no one I dislike, nor do I have a favorite. But those who seek me with devotion exist in me and I in them. I repeat, I am the same in all beings. There is no one I dislike, nor do I have a favorite. But those who seek me with devotion exist in me and I in them. Samaha aham sarva bhuteshu. I am the same in all beings. I am not someone separate from them. In all the beings, I am the same limitless Ishvara, because the Atma of everyone is myself alone. In all beings, I am available for owning. They need not even come to me. They are me. So, what would be my attitude towards them? I repeat this line, such a big Samaha aham sarva bhuteshu. I am same in all beings. I am not someone separate from them. In all the beings, I am the same limitless Isha, because the Atma of everyone is myself alone. In all beings, I am available for owning. They need not even come to me. They are me. So, what would be my attitude towards Name dveshyah asti? How can I have dvesha? One is dislike when everyone is me. I repeat, Name dveshyah asti. How can I have a dvesha? One who is disliked when everyone is me. I do not hate myself. I cannot hate myself because I know that I am complete. Aham purnaha. To hate oneself, one must be ignorant of oneself. I have no such ignorance. I repeat, there is breaking of voice. I cannot hate myself because I know that I am complete. Aham purnaha. To hate oneself, one must be ignorant of oneself. I have no such ignorance. I know that I am everything. And when that is so, everyone is myself. There is no separate person at all. Everyone is the same whole person, which is why he is called Purusha. When this is so, there is no person to be hated. You may not dislike someone, but suppose you have a liking for somebody else. That is good enough. It means you are indifferent to others, and it also establishes a gradation. Taratamya. 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 It is not enough to say Name dveshya asti. There is no one for whom I have dislike. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Name priyah asti. I have no favorite, no beloved. Human beings are subject to all that, but not Ishvara. Then why does he say those who worship him will come to him, etc.? If he is giving favors, you can say he gives certain people favors and not others. The problem here is Bhagavan says, I am themselves. They have to know me. I cannot be more than what I am for them, nor can I do more than what I have done already. So beautiful. I repeat this line. They have to know me. I cannot be more than what I am for them, nor can I do more than what I have done already. They themselves are me. They are not separate from me. I am not giving favors to anybody, but those who know me get me. It is all according to the law. Even grace is karma phala. They have the free will to earn that grace or not to. So beautiful. Then finally speaking, Ye mam bhajanti bhaktya. Those who seek me, who praise me, who worship me with devotion, all these can be taken as the meaning of the word bhajanti. Mai te teshu cha api aham. They exist in me and I exist in them. They exist in me because they seek me. Then they become one with me and therefore I exist in them. What about others? They are also non-separate from me, but they do not seek me with commitment, with devotion, bhaktya. If they do, then I am in them. They are in me. Here, you must note that Bhagavan is not speaking with reference to Satya and Mithya, as he did earlier when he said, Matsthani sarva bhutani nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. Here he is saying that the seeker's Atma is me. Therefore, all the seekers exist in me and I in them, in that both of us are one and the same.
We just repeat this paragraph
Yeah,
one more time.
yeah, I'm repeating. That's what I was going to do. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Name priyah asti. I have no favorite, no beloved. Human beings are subject to all that, but not Ishvara. Then, why does he say those who worship him will come to him, etc.? If he is giving favors, you can say he gives certain people favors and not others. The problem here is Bhagavan says, I am themselves. They have to know me. I cannot be more than what I am for them, nor can I do more than what I have done already. They themselves are me. They are not separate from me. I am not giving favors to anybody, but those who know me get me. It is all according to the law. Even grace is karma phala. They have the free will to earn that grace or not to. Then finally speaking, Ye mam bhajanti bhaktya. Those who seek me, who praise me, who worship me with devotion, all these can be taken as the meaning of the word bhajanti. Mai te teshu cha api aham. They exist in me and I exist in them. They exist in me because they seek me. Then they become one with me and therefore I exist in them. What about others? They are also non-separate from me, but they do not seek me with commitment, with devotion, bhaktya. If they do, then I am in them, they are in me. Here you must note that Bhagavan is not speaking with reference to Satya and Mithya as he did earlier when he said, Matsthani sarvabhutani nacha aham teshu avasthitaha. Here he is saying that the seeker's Atma is me. Therefore, all the seekers exist in me and I in them, in that both of us are one and the same. This is the takeaway line. I repeat, therefore, all the seekers exist in me and I in them, in that both of us are one and the same. Pure Atma is pointed out. He is not talking about the relationship, but the identity between the Jiva and Parameshwara. Therefore, I am them and they exist in me. All of them have their being in Atma. When each one says, I am so and so, that I is Parameshwara. They all exist in me, one Paramatma, and I am in the form of all of them. So beautiful. Why should he say so? Just pause for a second and feel that Ishvara within you. Why should he say so? There is no whole part relationship with Ishvara. One may think that they exist in me like the parts exist in the whole. This is what the school of thought called Vishishta Advaita says. But this cannot be. There are no fractions of Atma because Atma is always whole. It cannot be fractionated. It is not.
Shall I take over? There is a bit of
Yeah.
disturbance.
Yeah, there is. That's what. Yeah, please, you can. Shall I put previous page?
One second. Let me share screen. I will share screen.
Okay. Okay. Dhanyavad.
So I'll read from the previous one. So pure.
Yeah, please read from the finally speaking, right?
Yeah, I will speak. I will start from here. Yeah. Then finally speaking, Emam bhajanti bhaktya. Those who seek me, who praise me, who worship me with devotion, all these can be taken as the meaning of the word bhajanti. Maite teshu cha api aham. They exist in me and I exist in them. They exist in me because they seek me. Then they become one with me and therefore I exist in them. What about others? They are also non-separate from me, but they do not seek me with commitment, with devotion, bhaktya. If they do, then I am in them. They are in me. Here, you must note that Bhagavan is not speaking with reference to Satya and Mithya, as he did earlier when he said, Matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avastitaha. This was, I think, the fourth or the fifth shloka of Rajavidya of chapter 9. So there, as Satya, he says, I don't exist in them. They all exist in me, but I don't exist in them. Here he is saying that the seeker's Atma is me. Therefore, all the seekers exist in me and I in them, in that both of us are one and the same. Pure Atma is pointed out. He is not talking about the relationship, but the identity between the Jiva and Parameshwara. Therefore, I am them and they exist in me. All of them have their being in Atma. When each one says, I am so and I is Parameshwara, they all exist in me, one Paramatma, and I am in the form of all of them. Why should he say so? There is no whole-part relationship with Ishvara. One may think that they exist in me like the parts exist in the whole. This is what the school of thought called Vishishta Advaita says. But this cannot be. When we keep saying, I'm part of the divine, technically speaking, it is not right. I mean, that's part of the Vishishta Advaita. So we are not part of the divine, we are the divine. There are no fractions of Atma because Atma is always whole. It cannot be fractionated. It is not that from the same fire, each one has a spark of divinity. There is no spark here. The spark is the whole. These theologies all exist because we have psychological issues. Everyone wants to belong to somebody because he feels empty inside. He wants to be claimed by somebody and therefore he says he belongs to a big person, in this case Vishnu. It is purely psychological. There is nothing wrong with wanting to belong to somebody, but we are not talking about simple psychological issues here. It is more than that. You do not belong to Ishvara. You are Ishvara. If you think you belong to Ishvara, then you will also think Ishvara belongs to you. Then Ishvara will have 1 million people saying the same thing. They're all deluded. When they discover there is another person to whom Ishvara has given the same feeling, their devotion will disappear. Ishvara becomes like the fellow who was searching for a greeting card and with the help of the shopkeeper, finally found the one he was looking for. It said, "You are the only one I love." Then he asked the shopkeeper for a dozen of them. Similarly, Ishvara gives every devotee the feeling that he belongs to that devotee. He should, otherwise no devotee will be a devotee. But among the devotees, each has always an eye upon the other devotee. Each thinks, the Lord belongs to me. I am the only one dear to him. That is what he told me. When he says to the other, he told me the same thing, all the devotion falls apart. This is what happens if you think you are a fraction of the Lord. This is Vishishta Advaita. If everyone belongs to Ishvara and everyone thinks that Ishvara belongs to him, definitely he will have the feeling, I am not special to Ishvara. He has general devotees, I am only one of them. And devotion will evaporate. There is no belonging. You are Ishvara. There is no question of separation because Ishvara cannot be made into parts so that you have a spark of that Ishvara. Therefore, when one understands, I am in all of them, they are in me, there is no separation. Bhagavan says, I have no dvesha for the people who do not care for me, nor do I have raga for the people who care for me. I am available for everyone because in all beings I am the same. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. It is a question of owning up. The Atma of everyone is Parameshwara. I am not hiding myself from anybody, nor I am choosing to reveal myself to someone. I do not extend favors to some and punishment to others. It is all one's own doing. Having said this, he continues to talk about the nature of the commitment to the pursuit of Ishvara called Bhakti. Shankara introduces the next verse saying, listen to that, to the glory of that devotion. Does anyone need a repeat of any of these verses or these paras?
Dr. Chandra, this Samoham and Sarvabhutesu, can you, I am available from here.
From there, huh?
Yeah.
Where is that? Huh. This is the one you're saying? I have no dvesha.
No, it is from the beginning.
Yes,
Samoham
Bhagwan
sarvabhute.
says, Bhagwan says,
Is I am in the all. I am the
Or
same
you
in
want
all.
me to repeat the whole thing?
No, the last para.
The last paragraph,
last
right?
para, Bhagwan says,
Yes.
1 minute. Okay. Bhagavan says, I have no dvesha for the people who do not care for me, nor do I have raga for the people who care for me. I am available for everyone because in all beings I am the same. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. It is a question of owning up. The Atma of everyone is Parameshwara. I am not hiding myself from anybody, nor I am choosing to reveal myself to someone. I do not extend favors to some and punishment to others. It is all one's own doing. Earlier he talked about grace. No, grace is karma phala, and everybody has that free will to create that grace, to invite that grace into one's life. So that is one's own doing. So whether you choose to seek Ishvara or otherwise, it is all one's own doing. It is nothing to do with Ishvara being partial to one, not partial to another, or having any dislike for one, liking for another. He is impartial. He is there in everybody in equal measure. The only thing is up to the individual jiva, who has to remove that layer or veil of ignorance. So those who attempt to remove that veil of ignorance become seekers. And how that has to be done? With bhakti. Like the other verse says, no? Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. So doing everything with that attitude of prayer, offering everything unto him. So having said this, he continues to talk about the nature of the commitment to the pursuit of Ishvara called Bhakti. Shankara introduces the next verse saying, listen to the glory of that devotion. Are you okay, Dr. Renu? Should I continue there?
Yes, thank you. Yes, please.
Api chet suduracharah bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. Api chet, even if suduracharah, one of highly improper conduct, ananya bhak, being one without a sense of separation, mam bhajate, he worships, seeks me, Saha sadhuhu eva mantavyah. He is to be considered a good person. He, because Saha samyak vyavasitaha. He is one whose understanding is clear. Apichet suduracharaha ananya bhag. Mam bhajate Saha sadhuhu eva mantavyah. He Saha samyak vyavasitaha. Even if someone of highly improper conduct seeks me without a sense of separation, he is to be considered a good person because he is one whose understanding is clear. That is why we find in history there's so many so-called criminals have turned bhaktas and become enlightened. Apichet sudurachara. Even if he is a person whose conduct is highly questionable. Sudurachara is a person whose conduct, achara, is perfectly bad. He omits all the things that are to be done and does all the things that are not to be done. He is completely unmindful of others' happiness or welfare. Such a totally self-centered person is a durachara, in that he excels everybody else. There are many criminals, but this one excels all of them. Generally, you do not put the prefix su in conjunction with the prefix dur. But here, Lord Krishna uses the su with durachara. Even though his conduct has been like this and continues to be like this, he is ananya bha, one who does not see anything else except Ishvara. Somehow, in spite of all his durachara, because of some previous karma, he has discovered a devotion for Ishvara and is committed to the knowledge of Ishvara. Therefore, he has become ananya bhak, one who commits oneself to the pursuit of the knowledge of Ishvara. He seeks me, Parameshvara, even though his achara is highly questionable. So although he is a durachara and he excels at that durachara, so sudurachara, but he is the very reason why, because if he's ananya bhag, that he sees no separation between himself and Ishvara, then he is, because his understanding is clear, then what happens to him if he is like this? Sadhuhu evasa mantavyah. That person is to be considered a sadhu, one whose conduct is good, because his thinking or his understanding is clear. He is well established in the knowledge of Ishvara. Samyak vyavasitaha saha. When his understanding about Jiva and Ishvara is clear, naturally he should be looked upon as one who is committed to the pursuit of Ishvara and as one who has proper understanding. So it is all a shift in the mental attitude, in the understanding. All that happens in the mind again. So for some reason, maybe because of his previous karma that he did, this person who is durachara shifts his understanding and he understands properly the relation between Jiva and Ishvara. So then he becomes a samyak vyavasitaha saha. Therefore, he should be considered a sadhu evasa mantavya. He should be considered a sadhu, one whose conduct is good. I'm just reminded of what Gurudev told one person when he asked, I did a lot of mistakes in the past. How do I handle it? What should be my attitude? Gurudev says, forget the past. Once you have come to me, come on to this path, there is no looking back. So forget about the past, all that you did in the past. So just that shift that shift, getting onto the path, becoming a mumukshu, wanting to know what I am, who I am, that itself is highly redeeming of all your past. A person cannot always be judged by his conduct. If he has such knowledge, how can his conduct be questionable? It is only an argument. That is why api chet is there. It is a supposition. Suppose there is such a person. If he is committed to the pursuit of or has understood Ishvara properly as non-separate from Atma, then who can evaluate his conduct? His ego, ahankara, is not there, but because of some prior habits picked up, he may continue to do certain things which are looked upon as questionable. I will read this again. So a person cannot always be judged by his conduct. If he has such knowledge, how can his conduct be questionable? It is only an argument. That is why api chet is there. It is a supposition. Suppose there is such a person. If he is committed to the pursuit of or has understood Ishvara properly as non-separate from Atma, then who can evaluate his conduct? His ego, ahankara, is not there, but because of some prior habits picked up, he may continue to do certain things which are looked upon as questionable. If you remember that verse that says, Prakritin Swamavashtabhya Nigrinami Puna. We are all governed by our Prakriti. That is why I think in the end of any ritual, you say, what is that? Mantrahinam. Yeah, Mantrahinam, Kriyahinam, Bhaktihinam, Janardana, Yatkritantu Maya Deva, Paripurnam Tadastate. Then Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva, Buddhyatmanava, Prakrite Svabhava, Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai, Narayanayeti Samarpaya. So the traces of that Prakriti that are there from all the Purva, all the samskaras that we have, our behavior might be in a certain way, but the mental attitude is different. So out of that force of habit, that, what is it called? The orientation. If you remember, we had done, Swamiji gave us an in-depth of that orientation. Because of that force of orientation, we might continue to do certain things, but that does not mean you judge him based on that. Because he is in his inner attitude, his ego is not there. He does not consider himself separate from Ishvara. A story told in the Mahabharata illustrates this. One Brahmana was sitting under a tree doing his prayers and meditation and tapas, invoking the Lord. In the process, he developed some powers which he himself did not know about. One day, when he was sitting under a tree, a crane on top of the tree dropped some droppings on him. He looked at it with angry eyes, and the crane was burnt to ashes. Then he knew he had this power. He used to go for bhiksha daily to the same village. Previously, he was humble like a sadhu. But once he got the power, he became very proud. He went and asked for bhiksha, and the women made him wait for 1 hour before serving him. He was very angry and asked her how she could make him wait like that. She said that she was doing her duties, which are more important. He said, "Do you know who you are talking to?" She said, "Yes, I know, but I am no crane." He asked her how she knew about the crane, and she told him to go and ask a particular butcher. The butcher was busy serving his old and ailing father. So the Brahmana had to wait again. He was furious and asked the butcher why he had made him wait. Then The butcher asked, "Did that lady send you here?" The lesson here is, do not judge people by what they do. One was a householder and the other a butcher, but they were both doing their jobs and were definitely better than the Brahmana with all his prayers and meditations. Such a insightful story. So it is not the external appearance, it is your inner attitude and how you relate yourself, not just to your duties over here, but in your inner equipment. Improper conduct cannot continue. And he is to be considered a sadhu because when he has properly understood samyak vyavasitaha hi saha and is pursuing knowledge, his improper conduct is not going to continue. How can it? All durachara, if you analyze it, is either a habit or a real crime. Habit will naturally drop off in time. Crimes are always centered on the person who is insecure, the small I. Because he is so highly insecure, his behavior becomes aggressive. If he has devotion to Ishvara, in the very acceptance of Ishvara, his ego gets diluted. And in the pursuit of knowledge of Ishvara, it gets even further diluted. Thereby, all the tendencies based upon fear, tendencies to cheat, to deceive, to hurt, naturally drop off. I will read this part one more time, this whole thing. Improper conduct cannot continue. And he is to be considered a sadhu because when he has properly understood samyak vyavasitaha hisaha and is pursuing knowledge, his improper conduct is not going to continue. That is such a reassuring thing. How can it? All durachara, if you analyze it, is either a habit or a real crime. Habit will naturally drop off in time. Crimes are always centered on the person who is insecure, the small I. Because he is so highly insecure, his behavior becomes aggressive. If he has devotion to Ishvara, in the very acceptance of Ishvara, his ego gets diluted. And in the pursuit of knowledge of Ishvara, it gets even further diluted. Thereby, all the tendencies based upon fear, tendencies to cheat, to deceive, to hurt, naturally drop off. So what essentially is happening when you turn your seeking towards Ishvara and you have this understanding of the relationship between Jiva, Parameshwara, is that your ego is getting diluted. It is only because of the ego, the stronger the ego, the thicker the ego, that the barrier of ego, the greater is the insecurity. The greater the insecurity, the greater you want to protect that. So out of fear, you would want to do XYZ. His behavior becomes aggressive because of his insecurity. So either a person is a durachara because out of habit, because he's been doing that, whatever he's doing for a long time, or it is because of insecurity. Both of them, the ego will fall off, the habit will naturally drop off in time. I think it's our experience, in all our experience. If you look back maybe 1 year ago, how much time we were spending on, say, TV, compared to that, maybe right now, at this point of time, we are not spending as much time. So that habit of wanting to sit in front of the TV has slowly started diluting bit by bit. And this is only one example, but there may be other examples of habits that have dropped off. Even how we relate to people, that is a habit. Sometimes we just take face value. That habit also is slowly getting diluted. So that will drop off in time. And then crimes, because he's insecure, because of the aspect of ego, because of his ahankara, that also will slowly start getting diluted. Why? Because of his devotion. Thereby, all the tendencies based upon fear, tendencies to cheat, to deceive, to hurt, naturally drop off. And all those beautiful tendencies that we talked about, all the qualities, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantirarjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, acharyopasanam, then atman vinigraha. So all those beautiful qualities will start manifesting. To give an example, when a cotton cluster is thinned out so that it becomes fluffy, all the particles sticking to the cotton drop off. You cannot easily remove them one by one, but once the cotton fibers are separated, you find all the particles drop down because there is nothing for them to stick to. The ego too, once diluted, cannot hold on to these tendencies. They all drop off because fear and selfishness, which are at the center of all crimes, are due to ego. If that ego is diluted, where is the question of these things sticking there? I will read this cotton cluster again. When a cotton cluster is thinned out, cotton cluster is from the cotton plant. When you remove that bunch of cotton, which has a lot of black seeds inside. So when you thin it out, when you keep separating the fibers so that it becomes fluffy, all the particles sticking to the cotton drop off. Those seeds will drop off. You cannot easily remove them one by one. But once the cotton fibers are separate, this can be the seeds, it can be any other particles sticking to the cotton. So once you keep thinning it out, those particles will drop off. You find all the particles drop down because there is nothing for them to stick to. The ego too, once diluted, cannot hold on to these tendencies. What a lovely example Swamiji chose. They all drop off because fear and selfishness, which are at the center of all crimes, are due to ego. If that ego is diluted, where is the question of these things sticking there? Shankara introduces the next verse saying that having given up improper conduct which is external, this person becomes a dharmatma because of an inner clarity in understanding of oneself and Ishvara. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. Kshipram, quickly, bhavati, he becomes, dharmatma, one whose mind is in conformity with dharma, shashvat shantim, eternal peace, nigacchati, he gains, kaunteya Arjuna, pratijanahi, may you know for certain, may bhaktaha, my devotee, na pranashyati, does not get destroyed. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhaktaha na pranashyati. Quickly he becomes one whose mind is in conformity with dharma and gains eternal peace. May you know for certain, Arjuna, my devotee never gets destroyed. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Dharmatma means the one whose mind is in conformity with dharma. Dharma becomes natural to this person because commitment to dharma is a part of devotion to Ishvara. The moral order is not created by an individual. It is a part of the creation. We require such an order because we have the faculty of choice. Once we have that, we must have a set of norms for interaction with the world. Otherwise, it is a power given to us without proper controls. Therefore, one does have innate common sense knowledge of this moral order. That is why there is universal agreement about what is fundamentally right and wrong. Besides this, there is cultural right and wrong and situational right and wrong. An interpretation is possible only because there is a universal order, which is a part of the creation. And creation, or what is created by Ishvara, is non-separate from Ishvara. Therefore, dharma is Ishvara. That is not an ordinary thing. This is something we find only in the Vaidika Shastra.
Can you please repeat this paragraph?
Yeah. This one, right?
Chiparam.
Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Dharmatma means, kshipram means immediately, quickly. Quickly bhavati dharmatma. He becomes one who is in conformity with dharma. Dharmatma means the one whose mind is in conformity with dharma. Dharma becomes natural to this person because commitment to dharma is a part of devotion to Ishvara. The moral order is not created by an individual. It is a part of the creation. We require such an order because we have the faculty of choice. Once we have that, we must have a set of norms for interaction with the world. Otherwise, it is a power given to us without proper controls. Therefore, one does have innate common sense knowledge of this moral order. That is why there is universal agreement about what is fundamentally right and wrong. Besides this, there is cultural right and wrong and situational right and wrong. So one is the universal order, and then you have the cultural order, situational and cultural. An interpretation is possible only because there is a universal order, which is a part of the creation. And creation, or what is created by Ishvara, is non-separate from Ishvara. Therefore, dharma is Ishvara. That is not an ordinary thing. Should I continue? This is something we find only in the Vaidika Shastra. Elsewhere, dharma is purely a mandate, which if you follow, you will be rewarded, and if you do not, you will be punished. This is how all of dharma, which is values, ethics, etc., is presented. But here, dharma is non-separate from Ishvara. So, seeking Ishvara is not going to be away from that dharma. Because his mind is committed to dharma, he is called dharmatma. And dharma is always expressed in terms of conduct. Later, we are going to see a verse which says, Sarva dharman parityajya, completely giving up dharma, which means karmani parityajya, completely giving up karma, because only where there is karma does dharma come into play. Karma is controlled by dharma and has to be in keeping with it. Therefore, karma is dharma. There are lots of conclusions here. So let me read this para again. Because his mind is committed to dharma, he is called dharmatma. And dharma is always expressed in terms of conduct. Later, we are going to see a verse which says, Sarva dharman parityajya. Chapter 18. Completely giving up dharma, which means karmani parityajya. Completely giving up karma, because only where there is karma does dharma come into play. Karma is controlled by dharma and has to be in keeping with it. Therefore, karma is dharma. So see the conclusions. First he says, dharma is Ishvara. That is in the Vaidika Shastra. No other place is dharma equivalent to Ishvara. And now he's saying karma is equivalent to dharma, which means karma is equivalent to, I don't know whether we can draw that conclusion, karma is equivalent to Ishvara. Let's see. Previously he was Durachara. Now he is Dharmatma because of his clarity of understanding. Samyak Vyavasitaha Hisaha. And because of his devotion to Ishvara, naturally this change takes place quickly. Even though he was Durachara when he started all this, his knowledge and devotion are such that it consumes all his improper behavior. Such a person is free from conflict. Therefore, he gains eternal peace. Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. I'm reminded of the fact that when you do your Nitya Naimitika karmas, that during that time, there is no gap to fill in. Otherwise, that gap can be filled in with something else, some other karma which might not be in tune with dharma. You might be ending up doing some, some habit forming, addictive work, or maybe you're doing something criminal. So the reason why you're doing when you're doing all of your Nitya Naimitika karmas, your meditation, that much time you are in conformity with dharma. So even though he was Durachara when he started all this, his knowledge and devotion are such that it consumes all his improper behavior. Such a person is free from conflict. Therefore, he gains eternal peace. Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. There are different types of Shanti because he does what is to be done and avoids what is not to be done. Naturally, he gains inner Shanti. This is relative. But then he already has clear understanding. Because of that, he becomes Dharmatma. And being a Dharmatma, his understanding becomes clearer. As his conduct improves, his clarity also increases. He understands the nature of the self as not subject to modification and therefore Nitya Shanta Ananda. Therefore, this Shanti is Shashvat Shanti, a Shanti which is eternal because it is a peace that is the nature of the self. In spite of thinking, Atma is Shanta, so let the thinking take place. That is clarity. Whatever the condition of the mind, it does not become a basis for self-judgment because it does not bring about any change in my knowledge of Atma being avikriya, not subject to change. That is Shashvat Shanti. Therefore, self-knowledge is called Shanti. I will read this part one more time. There are different types of Shanti. This person who is this Samyak Vyavasitaha Hisaha attains this. He is a sadhu. We consider him a sadhu. And he gains eternal peace. Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. Now there are different types of Shanti. Because he does what is to be done and avoids what is not to be done, naturally he gains inner Shanti. This is relative. But then he already has clear understanding. Because of that, he becomes Dharmatma. And being a Dharmatma, his understanding becomes clearer. As his conduct improves, his clarity also increases. He understands the nature of the self as not subject to modification and therefore Nitya Shanta Ananda. Therefore, this Shanti is Shashvat Shanti. The first Shanti, that inner Shanti he gets when he does what he has to do, that is one Shanti, one level of Shanti. But here he's talking of Nitya Shanta Ananda. He understands the nature of the self. Therefore, this Shanti is Shashvat Shanti, a Shanti which is eternal because it is a peace. That is the nature of the self. In spite of thinking Atma is Shanta, so let the thinking take place. That is clarity. I didn't quite get this. In spite of thinking, Atma is Shanta. So let thinking take place. So he is not in conflict. He's letting the thinking take place because Atma is Shanta. He is allowing whatever is happening in the mind to take place. And that is the clarity he achieves. It is like that Pashyan, Shrunvan, Sprishan, Jigran. So things are happening, let them happen. Whatever the condition of the mind, it does not become a basis for self-judgment because it does not bring about any change in my knowledge of Atma being avikriya, not subject to change. That is Shashvat Shanti. Therefore, self-knowledge is called Shanti. Otherwise, first of all, we tend to judge others. And in the same page, we also start judging ourselves. And we label ourselves good and bad. So here, this beautiful paragraph here is talking of that Shashvat Shanti, which is that eternal peace where you're allowing things to happen in your mind and your whatever your behavior, but you are rooted to that Shashvat Shanti. You don't start judging yourself as good or bad. That is self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is called Shanti. This knowledge is not sullied by thinking. Sullied is dirtied. This is true of any knowledge. If you know what a car is, that knowledge is not in any way affected just because the mind is restless or disturbed. Even when the mind is sad, 1 plus 1 is still 2. The nature of the knowledge is that it does not get disturbed just because the mind is in a certain condition or the body has become very weak or old. The clarity of knowledge is such that he knows he is Shanta in spite of the mind, not because the mind is Shanta. So profound this is. So even if if the person in consideration, even if his mind is restless, he is not away from that Shashvat Shanta. The mind is restless because the mind is its nature of the mind. That knowledge remains. That knowledge does not get lost or doesn't. It continues with him. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. May you know for certain, Arjuna, my devotee does not get destroyed. This is a very famous sentence. Devotee here is the committed person and implies that he has recognition of Ishvara. That recognition is a great blessing. It is not an easy thing to recognize Ishvara. That there is Ishvara is a great step. And then the one who seeks to know that Ishvara is really one whom we call a bhakta here. He never comes to a bad lot. whatever his conduct has been. Even regarding the pursuit, he is very clear about what he is after. And if he appreciates Ishvara, naturally he gains the Shanti, which is the nature of Atma. And he does not come to destruction, to a bad lot. This is true for any person. I think we'll stop here. If anybody wants a repeat of any paragraph, just let me know.
Okay, Gurudev. This last verse, 31, page number 175, the last paragraph, which where the chapter 18 is related. That last line I could not follow. The karma is controlled by dharma.
Yeah. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. That was the sentence, that was the shloka, right? So
Yeah.
here it's talking of the connection between dharma and how the conduct, once he becomes a dharmatma, we'll see. Because his mind is committed to dharma, he's called a dharmatma. And dharma is always expressed in terms of conduct. Isn't it? Dharma is in the form of conduct or in the form of karma. Later we are going to see a verse which says, Sarva dharman parityajya, completely giving up dharma, which means karmani parityajya, completely giving up karma, because only where there is karma does dharma come into play. So karma
Why is this giving up of karma, and only then will dharma come into play? This line I could not
dharma,
understand.
see, karma is intimately related to dharma. Dharma is intimately related to karma.
Yeah.
Isn't it? See, when you talk of order, universal order, it is with relation to either yourself or with another person. So there is an aspect of karma involved there. Either manasikam karma or vachikam karma, or an action, actually an act of doing. All that is karma, isn't it?
Right.
So that is the way, that is why he says dharma is intimately related to karma. So later he says, right now here he's introduced
Why that giving up of karma is mentioned, that I could not follow. That giving up karma, then dharma will come into play. Why the giving up of karma is, or is it?
Because we learned, no, that only through jnana that you can gain this moksha. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja aham tva sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shucha. That is the verse. So unless we give up that karma and take on to knowledge and seek him, that recognition, which is knowledge, does not happen. It is not through karma that recognition happens. So therefore, you have to drop all the karma. So although it says karma is dharma and dharma is Ishvara, I had concluded that karma is Ishvara, which is wrong. That is a Purva Pakshi's, this one, what is that? Conclusion. And we saw how bit by bit that Purva Pakshi's argument that through karma you can gain moksha was refuted by Shankara. If you remember the chapter 18, when we read the whole PDF, right?
Yeah.
So it is not through karma is born of ignorance. Karma is born of ignorance. So something in Atma Bodh, if you remember the first few verses, he says, anything which is born of ignorance cannot help you come out of ignorance. So no amount of karma you do is going to help get you that recognition. That recognition has to come in the form of knowledge. And for that, we go to the pramana, we go to the shastra. From that pramana, you do that shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Then that recognition happens, right? So
yeah, those dharma is in respect to that. Whatever you are doing, whatever actions you are doing, it's like an offering to the God. That you separate that I from that karma that you are not doing.
correct.
It is he who uh, like it
Is
is for him we are doing, or it is
correct.
his work that we are doing. So that
Right.
way that karma will drop, right?
Correct, correct. Because see, in the previous paragraph, he says, no, let that thinking happen. If there is some thinking happening, let it happen. Where was that? Previously was the durachara. The change
Yeah,
takes place. That inner peace, he gets that inner peace because he does what is to be done. But this shanti, which is shashvat shanti, is eternal because it is peace that is the nature of the self. In spite of thinking, Atma is Shanta. So let the thinking take place. That is the clarity. So whatever the condition of the mind, it does. Of course, this is a different line of thinking, but what is being kind of brought about, the intention is to come to that state of non-doership.
yeah,
That is the dropping of the karma,
yeah.
isn't it?
Non-doership, right?
Non-doership. Karma is controlled by dharma and has to be in keeping with it. Therefore, karma is dharma.
Dharma.
Completely giving up karma, because only where there is karma does dharma come into play.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll just chant the verses that we completed today. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. Where is that? Samoham sarva bhuteshu. न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्. I am the same in all beings. There is no one I dislike, nor do I have a favorite. But those who seek me with devotion exist in me, and I in them. Api chet suduracharah bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if someone of highly improper conduct seeks me without a sense of separation, he is to be considered a good person because he is one whose understanding is clear. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Quickly he becomes one whose mind is in conformity with dharma and gains eternal peace. May you know for certain, Arjuna, my devotee never gets destroyed. We'll go to verse 32 tomorrow. We'll just close our eyes and reflect on what we have learned and come with our takeaways. Jai Gurudev. Time and again, Bhagwan is giving us the reassurance that the moment you seek me, the moment you turn your life's direction towards me, you will not be destroyed. You will not get back into that rut of that samsara, that cycle of karma, janma, and again karma, janma. So there will be that your gati is changed, your pursuit is changed, and it's changed for good. So there is no destruction for such a person. And how he says that samoham sarva bhuteshu. There is no one I dislike, there is no one I like, because I am there in equal measure in everyone. The only difference is the person who seeks me recognizes me. He becomes my devotee and recognizes me, but the other person does not. He remains in ignorance. So it is not Ishvara and all the other jivas are part of Ishvara. They are not like that. We are Ishvara. Each one of us. We are not part of divinity. We are divine. We are whole. And in spite of being a durachara or sudurachara, one who excels in this durachara, the moment he seeks me or recognizes me, he is to be considered a sadhu. Sadhureva sa mantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha. And kshipram bhavati dharmatma. He quickly becomes a dharmatma. So therefore, we do not need to break our heads and say, oh, what is dharma? How do we follow it? What is it? That universal order is in creation. And each one of us knows, if you remember the introduction to Gita, Swamiji talks in depth about dharma. It is there. The innate aspect of dharma is very, very intuitive. It is there innate in all of us. You don't want to be hurt, so you don't hurt others. That not wanting to be hurt is innate. So that he becomes immediately Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim, and he attains that shashvat shanti, which is irrespective of the nature of his conduct or his thinking, because Atma is Shanta. Yeah. Anyone else wants to share? Please go ahead. Someone has a question here. You can't belong to Ishvara, you are Ishvara. Yes, Dr. Renu. And Dr. Sarlaji says, if his understanding is clear, then how can be his conduct wrong? See, remember that story of that butcher and that lady and that Brahmana? If you look at the Brahmana's conduct, his conduct is fine. He's praying, he's meditating, but his understanding was not clear. So he continued to reel in ahankara. He got some siddhi. He looked at the crane and the crane burnt into ashes. But when he went to the lady to get food and she made him wait for an hour, she was doing her conduct was taking care of her husband, her dharma there. She was following her dharma. So if you look at it in another way, she made this Brahmana wait. So can you call that a wrong conduct? No. So same with the butcher. The butcher is doing what his conduct is. His daily life is killing animals and feeding people who come, or selling whatever the meat. So if you look at the conduct of the butcher in the physical plane, he's all doing a lot of himsa, but his understanding of the nature of Atma is there. Therefore, he's able to, at that level, at the understanding level, he is a dharmatma. right? I think, I don't know whether Sarlaji. So therefore,
Correct. Yeah, correct.
you don't just go by the face value.
Yeah.
It's a deeper it's the attitude in his mind which is important. So for his living, he's doing the he's a profession of a butcher, but in his inner equipment, he is already an enlightened person. Which is why he was able to ask the Brahmana, did that lady send you? How did he get that recognition? Isn't it? So, and how did this lady know about the crane?
Correct.
So we don't go by face value. Same thing with our own selves. You don't judge yourself. All this applies to us also. We tend to say, oh, I'm such a bad person. I'm doing all of this. In spite of that, I'm still like that. Like Gurudev says, it's like tearing up your own application form. So never ever look down upon yourself or others. Because each one, on one hand, it is about the prakriti, about the habits, about all that. And the second, it is their nature of work, maybe, right? So, yeah. Anybody else wants to share?
Hariom, I just want to, I was reminded of the story of the Sant Pundalik who made Vithoba wait outside his hut because he was serving his parents. So stability in your Swadharma, Bhagwan is emphasizing so much that once you are clear for who you are and what you have to do, I mean, even Bhagwan cannot stop you. I mean, it is, he also knows that he is one with me and he's doing his Swadharma.
Yeah, here that statement is proper. Dharma, karma is controlled by dharma.
Yeah. That is why in chapter 18, I think, 46th or 47th verse, Swakarmana tamabhyacha siddhim vindati manavaha. So by doing your swakarma and doing it well, so by doing this, what do we gain? By doing karma, by doing swakarma in tune with dharma, what we gain is antakarana shuddhi. And with this antakarana shuddhi, that knowledge, the recognition of Atma, we are making that space conducive for that knowledge recognition to happen. Right?
But here they're saying, no, because of that dharma, you get a Shashvat Shanti. And dharma is then Ishvara.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, every chapter is good, but 9th chapter is revealing really according to its name, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. It is the ultimate, it's a royal secret that he's revealing bit by bit. Even yesterday, we did not go to chapter 6. I'll just spend a few minutes on this. Huh? This one is finished. I think we have to do this, right? Why two kinds of families? Yeah. Here he talks of better than being born in a wealthy family. It is better that he is born to family of a karma yogi. That is why Shankara said it is better. See, to be born as a human being, there has to have been some punya and papa. The poverty of the person will exhaust all his papas and his punya will be available for yoga. In this way, the person can take to the yoga track, the jnana track, without any let or hindrance. This is why Shankara said it is better to be born into a family of karma yogi who may not be rich than to be born into a rich family that has a lot of culture. Riches have a way of getting into your head and creating certain complexes that become problems. Poverty can also create complexes, it is true, but both inferiority complex and superiority complex are problems that have to be dealt with. But if you are born into a family where there may not be riches, but where the parents are yogis, there is no problem. Because they are yogis, the value structure is sound, and the person does not have a complex that I am poor. Even though there is no money, he does not think of himself as a poor person. Instead, he thinks of himself as a blessed person. To have the parentage where both parents feel blessed to be what they are, even though they have no money, is the right parentage. The point being made here is that if there is money, that is fine. But if there is no money, it is better, provided, of course, the parentage is proper. Why two different kinds of families? Why does Krishna mention two different kinds of families in these two verses? Should not every yoga bhrashta be born into the same kind of family? No. The family one is born into depends upon the person's karma, their accrued punya and papa, and everyone's punyas and papas differ. These punya papas determine where a person is born, who his parents are, whether there is money or no money, etc. Wherever the person is born, however, he retains his yoga samskaras, those impressions, those tendencies that he had gathered before. In other words, he comes along with his previous impressions in the form of potential tendencies which often manifest very early in life. A baby who cries all the time may become a musician, and the child who destroys everything in sight may become a civil engineer. Let's see. These tendencies are what we call samskaras, and they manifest in your life without your cultivating them. This is why two children who are born to the same parents are so different. One child has certain tendencies and the other child has other tendencies. One child goes for music and the other for art because of their samskaras. These samskaras are what is meant by prarabdha karma, the karma that results in a certain body being born into a given situation and having a particular set of experiences. The samskaras have to manifest themselves and they do so through certain professions, etc. Yoga samskaras are the same. They will be there in the psyche of the child, whether he is born into a cultured family committed to dharma or into the family of karma yogi. Therefore, the criterion is not to be born into a particular kind of family. This does not come into the picture at all because there is no necessity for it. Wherever the person is born is fine because he is born with the yoga samskaras. However, certain opportunities are necessary so that the yoga samskaras that manifest will not be overwhelmed by adharma samskaras, which is also possible. Because wrong tendencies can be gathered as a child, these can overpower the yoga samskaras you had previously gathered. In order for the yoga samskaras to manifest naturally in the form of a serious pursuit of knowledge on the part of a person who was previously a yogi, the born again yogi should not be overpowered by a life of adharma, wrong values, false values, etc. Therefore, it is important for this person to have the proper setup to pick up the thread and continue from where he left. I think we'll stop here today. So very beautifully Shankara is talking about the fact that being born into a house of a karma yogi is better than being born into a house of a wealthy, cultured person. Because if he's born into a family of a karma yogi, whether there are riches or not, he does not consider himself, it does not affect him. Even if he's poor, he takes it as a blessing. Because he's a karma yogi. Why? What is the attitude of a karma yogi? Yadricha labha santushtaha dvandvatita vimatsar. So whatever he gets, he's happy with. He takes it as Ishvara prasada. So even that poverty, he takes it in that same spirit. So being born into the house of a karma yogi is even better. And why are these two families? He talks of this because each one is born because of because of a set of punya and papa, which is nothing but the prarabdha karma. And
Jai Gurudev, Dr. Bhamara, did we
Yes.
read earlier, like if person is born in a rich, like in a cultured family, but still he has all the facilities that he's in a rich family. So isn't that better? Because all the things are being taken care of, and he is in that, he has all the time for his, for to pursue that spiritual this thing.
That is
We read
correct.
it earlier, no?
We read it earlier, but
yeah.
Swamiji and Shankara are actually going a little deeper step ahead of that and saying,
Okay.
just being born in a wealthy family, better than being just born in a wealthy and a cultured family. It is better to be born to a karma yogi.
Karma
Parents
yogi.
are karma
Okay.
yogis.
This is the difference. Okay. Okay. Right.
Because see, we all are born, we all come here with papa and punya, right? So that is what he says, that papa gets released. I'll just read this. The poverty of the person will exhaust all his papas, and his punya will be available for yoga. Right?
So one step ahead will be that person,
yeah,
who will be born in a rich family and in a well cultured karma yogi family. That the people in the house would all be that who would be following the dharma, and they will be rich. So that is the highest, the family which a person can be born into.
yeah,
Otherwise, they are like poor with karma yogi, or they are, suppose we have done something bad and we are born in a family with, we carry our own prarabdha, so we will be born in a poor family. We will we will undo our
papas.
we will undo the
He'll
papa
exhaust.
by exhaust the papas by living in that very
In the poverty.
meager,
Yeah,
in
correct.
poverty. Yeah. So that way we will evolve, but still that is level is still higher.
Correct.
So I think there are many levels of.
See, as we see, that's very beautiful that you brought this up. So there are few combinations. One is a wealthy, cultured family. Parents are not karma yogis. Second is poor family where my parents are karma yogis. Third combination is they're wealthy, cultured, and the parents are karma yogis. So the best fit would be, if you ask me, best fit would be the last one, where there is wealth, there is culture, as well as the parents are karma yogis.
Yeah.
So then that wealth does not get into your head. You don't develop that superiority complex. Because see, later he talks of adharma, right? So he says, the samskaras, yoga samskaras should not be overshadowed by anything which is adharmic. We should be careful. We should be watchful that having been born, we do not start getting some adharmic samskaras into us.
Yeah, but when a person is born in that the superior family, like you can call it superior, so
Right. Wealthy cultured family.
yeah, that he will born with the good sanskaras only until unless he have to go into some suffering or not, but the person to be born would be carrying a good sanskara. That is why he is born in that. So he will
Correct.
not go wayward, like he will not do adharmic karmas so easily until unless he has to suffer something. He is carrying some deep prarabdha.
Right. See, that is why Swamiji mentions here, the criterion is not to be born into a particular kind of family. This does not come into the picture at all because there is no necessity. Wherever the person is born is fine. So that is not so much of an importance. He says because he's born with yoga samskaras. However, certain opportunities are necessary so that yoga samskaras that manifest will not be overwhelmed by adharma samskaras, which is also possible. So the only thing we have to watch out for is that irrespective of which family you're born into, there should be an opportunity for you to pursue your yoga samskaras, or you should be focused on pursuing yoga samskaras and not let them be overwhelmed by adharmic samskaras. Because wrong tendencies can be gathered as a child, these can overpower the yoga samskaras you had previously gathered. In order for the yoga samskaras to manifest naturally in the form of a serious pursuit of knowledge on the part of a person who was previously a yogi, the born again yogi should not be overpowered by a life of adharma, wrong values, false values, etc. Therefore, it is important for this person to have the proper setup to pick up the thread and continue from where he left. So it is like, that is why they say this path is like a razor edge. No, it's like walking on the razor edge.
Can I
Anytime you
ask you, what is that yoga samskara? I didn't get that part. You know what is it? What do you mean by that yoga
that is
samskaras?
all those that you have accrued in the previous life. No, what based on what you have, what kind of a life you've lived. See, all this is why, because Arjuna asks the question, what happens to the yoga bhrashta? He is pursuing knowledge, but he still has not recognized Ishvara. What happens to him? Does he, like a cloudlet, get fizzled away? Is his life completely wasted? What happens? And in answer to that, Krishna is giving him the answer, saying, not to worry, he is born in a Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Bijayate. So he's saying he will not, his all the effort he's put in towards this moksha is not wasted. He is born in a family, in a rich, cultured family.
Right.
And
That one, yeah, as you said, it doesn't matter where you were born, but then where it was said, like, even if you're born in poor family, you exhaust the purpose.
Papa.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's better than born in rich family, that kind of stuff. But then again, yeah, you're right. You need some kind of vehicle to carry. So that's where you are born in a family where dharma is followed, or the karma yogi. That was the two things that I remember. But I kind of probably.
Yeah, so it is complex. No, see, we cannot draw, it is not 1 + 1 = 2. Not all yoga brashtas are born into the same kind of family. It all depends on the combination of papa punyas each one has.
Right.
So some might be born into a wealthy, cultured family where parents are not karma yogis. Some may be born into a poor family, but parents are karma yogis. because probably as a little more papa, he has to exhaust. Some may be born into a wealthy, cultured family where parents are karma yogis. But in all of this, what one has to be watchful of is that we don't let any adharmic things creep in. Because otherwise, again, your balance of papa punya, there'll be more papa, less punya. So then again, you'll be born into a family like that. So continuing this thread, in order for you to continue the yoga samskaras, you need to have that the situation that is conducive for you. All this again is dependent on your balance of papa punyas, which is why this pursuit of knowledge has to be done with commitment, with shraddha, with commitment, to the exclusion of all.
Even sometimes like the parents are not karma yogi and you are born in difficult situations, like nothing is favorable for you and you have to undo your prarabdha. So you are born in that family with there is no support and still you have to evolve. So you have to like for that person also who have no background, still the person evolves from that situation also.
Yeah.
Nothing is conducive from him, but still he has that previous prarabdha, but he has to undergo some suffering. So even the parents are not karma yogi, still he will follow that ritual path. Yeah.
Ultimately, bottom line is the person will not be destroyed as long as he seeks him. That seeking has to be there. That is the self-effort. That is the free will we use. So as long as you're seeking me, yat karoshi yadashnasi, if you're able to do that, he will not be destroyed at all. That is a guarantee he's giving. But you cannot say, oh, I did all this last janma, so this time I will not do anything and sit quiet. No, that's not going to happen, right? So that pursuit has to continue.
Yeah. Can we all take, I mean, I am off anyway from work, but plan for some time off and then we all read this continuously. I am demanding all of you.
Your demand. So, that's to Dr. Mara. Maybe may your sankalpa come true. Maybe we'll
So
all
beautiful, Dr. Mara. So beautiful.
No, I am, like I feel like
I
that.
mean, yeah, we are very serious this time.
Yeah.
We all are
because-
serious.
Serious. So this is a point where, it'd be nice. Even a year from now, we should plan like at least for 10 days or something like that. We have to do this, something like that. I am actually going to Anakati this September because my classmates after 40 years we are going to have a batch meet because we are all in the in mid 60s, right? So we want to meet. We don't know when we're going to meet, all of us. So
that's so wonderful. Anakati is where Swami Dayananda's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I probably will visit that Gurukulam and
you should.
go
It's such
there.
a beautiful place. We had the
Yeah.
honor of being there a few
Yeah.
years ago.
So I am thinking maybe when I go and visit that place, I will tell you maybe we can plan on visiting that place and do the Manana on this and do some Nididhyasana also would be nice there. Yeah.
The whole Gita home study was over 3 years. It's a brahmachari Gita study that Swamiji gave over 3 years. So in
Right.
no wonder it is in such detail. So
Yeah. And yesterday, I was kind of laughing in the sense like it's just that the way he put it so nicely, and some of that is humorous, the way he's putting that. But again, it just you can't stop reading this, like you keep on reading.
Yeah.
And then even now I can't put all together, but we are getting a sense of getting all of it. But then um, so many ways Bhagavan is trying to teach us, like how complex this is. It appears so simple, at the same time it's so complex. Anyway, so all of you keep thinking about it. Maybe I'll after I see Anakati place, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead with the quiz on this first. A small attempt will be how much have we understood? It's like how we have exams in
Yeah.
school. It is to see how much of knowledge you have gained, right? So it is just that. So
Yeah. It's really nice to quiz ourselves, because that's the only way we're going to learn this, So
yeah. So then it will enthuse us to go back again and read again, reread, get more clarity. So I would request everybody that as and when you're reading, if you're getting some quiz questions, please jot it down. We can collect a pool of questions, and then we'll have a quiz. Tentatively August 1st. Today is 21st of July, right? So
right.
yeah.
We read one was the Swarupa of Atma, and Swarupa was, what was the yesterday we read Swarupa of Atma, and oh my God. What was the other Swarupa was? Like Ishvara. No, something Moksha or something like that. No, yesterday we read. Okay, anyway, it will come to me and put in a quiz.
Yeah. So shall we stop here today? We had a pretty lengthy session. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnat Panamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gurudev. Dhanyavad.